So we're at a site called Chimalacatlan with Marco Bagato, who's showing us around today. This is in Morelos State, and it may even be, according to Marco, Tamoanchan, which is the origin point of all the cultures, even the Olmecs in ancient Mexico. Just on the way into the site, we have partly reconstructed ball court, but this just shows you the side of it, and even this is quite impressive construction. Not megalithic yet, but we're now going to head into the site with Marco, and which is way over there, and you can actually just see on top of that mountain where we have to walk up is the main pyramid. So Marco was just telling us that this is probably post-classic. This is built later than the main site, which we're going to go up and look at. But still, even on the corners, he's pointing out that we have larger stones, which is sort of reminiscent, but smaller, of some of the construction we're going to see shortly. So we're just taking a walk around here. We're going to have a look at this. It's really interesting because Marco's got the same kind of mindset as me when it comes to these sites. The more you look, the more you find relationships with the Olmecs or even earlier cultures. And at the base, often destroyed or hidden, we have these much larger stones, this sort of megalithic aspect to it. So here we have the ball court. You can see the sloping sides there. We're just walking through the center of the ball court here. It's not a very big one, but it's been partly reconstructed. But just shows you that it was a tradition that went back to the time of the Olmecs, even before possibly, and stretched all the way into Maya land, which is probably the era we see here in the post-classic era. If we look just over here, we actually have a small pyramid, which is completely derelict, partly destroyed, but still part of this remarkable site that may be the origin point of all the cultures of ancient Mexico, in tradition, in ancient legend. So we're just at the entrance to the site now. We just had a look at the ball court, and one of the interesting things about this site, which is actually on the sign, we just walked in here, is that it was used to manufacture and kind of mine some kind of green stones, whether that's jade or serpentine, we'll check it out, but it was like a precious stone. So this was a site, potentially the site, if it is jade, where the legendary kind of location of the Olmec jade came from. There's always been a big question mark about where it came from, so perhaps it did come from here. And we must remember that this site goes back to 1200 BC, so this is the era of the Olmecs, specifically when they were known to be heading south into Mexico City, Morelos area. So we're here at another platform just on the way up to the top. It looks like some kind of pre-classic kind of sacred platform. So we actually have a sign here that says the Megalithic platform, so let's go that way. So we're still heading up, just passing this platform here. Marco's leading the way. This is not a touristy site. This is incredibly difficult to get up to with a car and walking. Thank God the pathway's slightly clear.
There's lots of rock here. It looks like it's been almost cut.
Oh yeah, Marco's just pointing out this massive basalt blocks that look like they've been cut. One of them's got one kind of cut mark in it as well. That's just next to this platform as we head up through the main entrance gate.
You can see that they were trying to break the stone here. So you see all these little holes in the rock. That's probably where they inserted wedges to break the rock. And then you see the result here, like these huge stone boulders already detached from the bedrock. So it looks like they were making a cut here. So rock cut trench that goes around or delimits this rectangular space here, which is all covered in these huge stone boulders. As if it were the beginning of some megalithic construction.
Marco was just telling us about a tunnel that somewhere around here, he saw the entrance through when he was here a couple of years ago, but cannot find it because it looks like it's completely overgrown. It's all blocked up, but the interesting thing about it, he was just telling me, is that it had a kind of corbelled roof which is almost like Mycenaean or something you find in ancient Europe. So here at Chimalacatlan, we've got 2 tunnels we've just spotted, just in between the megalithic walls and the upper pyramid. There's interesting carved stone here as well. So it's almost like they're chambers, like megalithic chambers, much like we find at Abaj Takalik. So here, just to the left of my shadow, is the entrance to a tunnel. Now this is really interesting. Now I don't think we're going to go in there. We're going to see if it just goes through one side. And you can see the entrance there. A bit dubious about going in there. We are in like rural Mexico. But look at that. Butterflies flying around in there. That's just the other side of the tunnel there. Interesting, huh? So I've seen tunnels like this at Abaj Takalik, which is just over in the Guatemala border, which has megalithic tunnels all over the site there. That was an Olmec site, and they spread down south. So to find it here is really interesting.
Right on top of the uppermost group, you see these relatively small post-classic pyramid on top. But then you have also these rock cut basin here, scout out of the bedrock. Might have been a pool, let's say, used for astronomical observation. It's like oriented here towards these mountains. Might have even had an astronomical function. This was certainly like pretty oldest part of the site. It was the most sacred one, where they built this altar up here on top.
So just behind me here is a really interesting thing that Marco pointed out. This is like a kind of sacred kind of cauldron or bowl. Now we saw these at some other sites near Cacaxla and the other site near there we visited. And so this is another part. They carved it out of solid bedrock here. They were made of stone, carved fully out of stone, but this one's actually in the bedrock.
Of course, like most of what you see here is pretty post-classic in date, and as you can tell from the smaller stones here compared to the megalithic section below, but it's quite lacking. You can actually see some larger stones that were incorporated here and there in this masonry that they reused an earlier structure that existed here on this site. It might have been of Olmec time. Of course, like the view from here is pretty much 360 degrees. You can see the entire valley, all the mountains around, so it's pretty strategic position for a site like this. Yeah, you see that there is some sort of temple up here. See, like the entrance to that side, the entrance door, it's all delimited by these stone walls, and you see some of these other megalithic stone blocks, like the platforms below. You can see some other ones there. So it's very well possible that more megalithic structures existed here before they were rebuilt in this form in the post-classic period. You can actually see even at the base of that platform, you see some of the lower quartzes and masonry there are more clearly megalithic than the ones on top. They use larger stones, so pretty array here.
So here we are at the very top of the site, and you can see the very highest pyramid behind me. You've got a clear view in all directions, the entire landscape. So this would have been an amazing site to take astronomical readings from. Now, it's thought, according to Marco and other researchers, even going back a few hundred years, that this might be Tamoanchan. Now, this is mind-blowing in its own right, because this is the origin point of all different cultures, including the Olmecs, although some people suggest this could be an Olmec site. So there's debate as to whether they all originated in the Morelos area and spread out, went up to Olmec land, or whether they actually arrived on the Gulf Coast from some foreign land and spread out down this way eventually. And one of the legends states that Tamoanchan had 9 sacred rivers leading up to it, and we know there are some rivers very close to this area here that Marco pointed out to us. You can see those in the valleys when you look at the drone shots. And so that was really interesting. And this is also possibly the highest point of the entire area. You know, the fact that Tamoanchan possibly translates as to place of the bird snake is really interesting, because that's a Quetzalcoatl story, which the Olmecs adopted. They may have been here before Quetzalcoatl or afterwards, and whoever arrived on the Gulf Coast, whether it was the Olmecs or Quetzalcoatl together, or they came at different times and spread this way, we don't know. But the fact is, you've got Chalcatzingo in this area, you've got Zacacatla, which we went to, we couldn't find it though, it's in a building site now. They found Olmec artifacts, and there's many other sites, Huaxla for instance, in this area, which are thought to be Olmec. And so even south of Mexico City, we have a strong Olmec presence. It's not just on the Gulf Coast.